Welcome back everyone to another week. Let's go through what this week was like. Currently on Thursday. Once again, been a dry week. Last week wasn't too bad. Obviously didn't do that well. Making sure I come into this week, wanted to take good trades and all that. Managed to sit out the market. And there wasn't any good trades to take. So I did well on that front. My FTMO account was still sitting in slow drawdown. And Alpha, I was actually due a payout today. So we go over to that now. I think that's over here. That's obviously the first payout. Second payout here. I can request today because it's my payout date, but you'll be able to see there that I'm still down on that 1%. We're obviously down on phase 2 and phase 1 we still haven't touched. And this is a week of patience for me. I haven't actually took no trades for a good, I think since the end of April was a week I took no trades, and that's 2.5 months. So it has been a weird week sitting out, but it's a test of patience. If you're not trading, you're not losing money. So a lot of bonuses to take from this week. But yeah, you can see there, payout dates today. And that's the second payout in a row that I've not been able to achieve one. That's the first one down to not being able to get my first payout, and the account was invalid to trade. This one's just been down to being in drawdown. So that's a new feeling for me, being used to sometimes not always having profit to withdraw. That isn't going to always happen. You can't always strive for every single payout to be trying to get a payout on that date. So now I've got to wait till the 1st of August. So it's up to the rest of this month now for me to be able to win a few trades, get some profit back in the account, and then go for a second withdrawal. So let's see if we can do that. If we go to this week, this isn't going to be a long video. It's going to be the breakdown and then just talking through why I wasn't able to catch anything at all. Is if we start on the DXY, let's go back to the start of the week. So we've been pushing bearish. Let's get our standard levels up. We're back below 104 and we took out this wick. We haven't had a reaction off it. Within this area we're in, so yeah, okay, we could be failing at 50% of this, but I'm going to move this to the left because it's not an obstacle until it becomes one. And we know now that we're expecting further downside. There's a very weak dollar at the minute, so we're not expecting price to keep running up. And ever since this low's been taken out, this was our opportunity to take out these highs. Now they've been taken out, it's just so clear to me that they're obviously now gonna see that further push. I don't know where to exactly, but I'm expecting more downside for the minute. I think it's been a hard one because, like I said last week, we've been in this channel. But I think you could probably tell by this how you would draw this. More recently, probably from here, it is looking like we're breaking out to the downside. Obviously, you can draw it how you want. It may look different for you, but yeah, overall, I'd be more bearish on DXY. Along with the fundamentals, and we did have a lot of news this week. I think we had CPI for the pound, which come out in the end positive. So a lot going on. I actually need to go and check the Forex Factory to see what we actually come out as, because I've barely looked at the charts this week. Yeah, so we've gone up, same as previous, lower, higher than forecasted, and of course, the higher the better in regards to how the currency's been seen by the countries. So we've seen that go up. And then today we had, what did we have today? Claimant accounts also come out fairly positive after a very bad report. But I think if you're looking at the previous ones here, as a whole, coming out at 32k is not very good for the pound there. So we've seen some pullbacks from GBP USD today. We'll go look at that in a minute. But yeah, the analysis was to come down. Obviously now we have formed a gap in between these areas. So we're going to look for potential pullbacks. But when you're getting strong weekly candles like this, the pullbacks just aren't going to come that quick. I'm not really anticipating a pullback to that level. We've got the imbalance fill here as well. So I was setting up some higher time frame plays this week. They didn't get tapped anywhere near like last week again. We took out this liquidity point. See if we can get this weekly fill to the low there. So that's really DXY. We can see the daily, we've got a massive fair value gap. So that's what we're looking at there on DXY. If we go to EU, so EU is very similar. The only difference is that compared to DXY, we still haven't took out this liquidity point. I'm looking for this to be taken, and of course then I see a pretty clear area of liquidity standing out here to the left. So I want this to be hit. We've got another fair value up to the downside, so we are creating some nice displacements there. But yeah, again, I want to see this wick taken, then see a pullback. If we can get that, then it'll be good. Nothing really to explain the weekly there. It's really simple. Like, yeah, we are in this potential order block as well. But for the minute, I'd rather mark out the liquidity. It's just a bit cleaner. So yeah, looking to take this out. We also have the same thing here in imbalance fill. See if we can come into this and clear it. Therefore, maybe getting them pullback plays in the week. If we go to that, we can see that, all right, we've got this big fair value gap. So I had this marked in and overall was looking for a play somewhere in here. 4 buys. I think we matched it up to a certain area. So 2 hour. There we go, the 1 hour wick. So I looked at this 1 hour wick and thought, you know what, that's quite a nice wick. We obviously had news then, so we may come back into this area. I normally do look to hot zone my areas up, so what I would do is I tend to go back onto the daily now and see that 1 hour's within that, and I would mark this in as a zone. We can zone that up. I'd want to have this area probably covered with an entry, and that means that we can get in. I went in for around the 1 hour 50%. Looking to play up to the high, stops below this gap. Not really anticipating price to come lower than that, so got about a 3-to-1 idea there for the week. If it was to pull back nicely, I thought, you know what, there's a higher chance. If we start the week coming into this, we get a nice pullback. See further continuations later on in the week, but yeah, again, this didn't happen. Didn't happen at all. But there's the way I set up for the week anyway. You can see that these don't always get tapped in. Sometimes they are hit and miss, but if you don't set up for them, you're never going to catch them. They're one of them nice plays that you can just set and forget. If they don't get tagged in, you can let the buy stop, sell stop, or limits, whatever ones you have, expire, depending on how you play. Whether you look for price to come clearing through levels to take entries, or whether you look for pullbacks for price to tap them. And then GU, again, very hard to play pullbacks in. And I obviously had that mistake last week of taking sells on GU. I wasn't going to make that mistake again. I wanted to make sure I took the buys when they pulled back. We created the same thing as EU and DXY. They're all lining up quite nicely. There's no wick to the upside here. So price hasn't even had any range to come and fill coming into this week. It's been that bullish. I would look at this area to the left and point that out as a potential liquidity point. Therefore, we can play into that. If we go to the daily, obviously weekly, we're going to look to come up to these current highs here, which are previous yearly highs. We've already took out the current yearly highs, so we're already way past that, and that gets harder when you break the range you've been playing with him for the matter of the last few months. You're in new territory almost. You want to be careful what you end up playing, but you can see we don't tend to bull run this much, especially on EU. We don't do that much at all. GU, yes, sometimes we have a few pumps, generally down to a lot of pound strength, and we've been seeing that. There has been a lot of upside here over the last few weeks. This time is a little bit different. I liked this order block on GU for a move, therefore literally just looked to play a trade off this for the higher time frame. Wasn't too interested in these gaps. They're not as safe for stop loss. So yep, I was being a bit cautious and was looking for a bigger play. I think we're around 45 pips. As you see, I have a nice 4-to-1 R. If we look to take out this high, it's very similar to EU. Difference is this is the current June high. The current yearly highs are all the way up here. So we're still a long way away on EU to take them current yearly highs. GU's way past that. DXY in the aspect of where we are still nowhere near the lows of this year. So GU's in a much higher position, makes the buys even harder, and selling maybe with just one candle that's closing bearish is just not good enough for a play. Let's go through this week. We're going to have to go through each day, see how we come into this area. So going to keep in mind this. We know that this could be a potential order block as well. So we're going to mark this up on the daily. We tapped into previously here in June. So Monday on DXY, we gapped up, just makes things more complicated. Then we seem to close weak bullish. What's that really giving me? Nothing. Can't really get much from that. On EU, we did in fact take out this high, which is nice, and we've closed weak bullish. Now this is where, if I didn't learn my mistakes from last week, probably would have looked to try and take a sell off this day. But like we said before, it's nice to see prices come into this daily unmitigated wick, and we've tapped it, but there's no actual confirmation for downside yet. Yep, we could play back into here. My idea is for price to come back. Doesn't mean it has to. There is no fair value gap to play down and have issues at, which is quite nice. But you know what it's like. I've had 2 losses in a row. I'm not going to take a trade that has a lower probability of playing out, that's counter trend. There's no key liquidity point to play to on the chart. It's just all gaps. And I'd rather see for a counter play a liquidity point. They're always the best. As for GU, we currently still failed to take out this wick high, I'm pretty sure. So we still didn't take out that high there on Monday. So then again, trying to be playing a sell, you just form this newly fair value gap. You are looking for trouble, if you ask me. It's a daily one. Looking for massive trouble. And yeah, you might think, yeah, price might need to pull back more than this. The leg's massive, we're very high, yeah, but you've got to trade what you see, not what you think. If price isn't telling you we're having issues yet, then we're probably not. That candle there was just weak as. Same for DXY. So going to wait to see what happens the next day. Next day we retest 104. Obviously I've spoken too many times about 104, how important it is. That looks very nice for more downside now, as we're not at the current low. If we go to EU, what did we do on Tuesday? We took the previous daily low and come up. Now it looks like we might test the high. Then the problem is that I look at this and I say, okay, what's this wick doing? On a daily time frame, it's just broken the current weekly low and made a new weekly low. It's not actually reacted to any level, so I'm not too convinced that that's going to be enough to push us through the highs and break through into this liquidity area. Therefore, I would keep an eye out on this as being a potential future liquidity point, and this is what I'd like to see. If we were to see this week price come up, fail here, I'd be looking for sells down to take this out for continued move ups later on during the week or next week. Again, didn't get that, we failed to, but I'm already starting to predict what's going to happen over the next few days. Gives me a lot more confidence over where can I start to spot ideas at. But that's what happened Tuesday there for EU, and then GU, we saw the daily fair value gap filled and closed bullish. And what didn't help is I thought GU didn't look too bad for buys, but then I go on to the 1 hour, start looking at what legs we can kind of get an idea of playing from, and it's kind of bad because we currently see that coming into the day, we are pretty much within this sell leg. If we were to mark this in, how can I take a buy off this? Not only that, but the day started and gap down. So this candle pretty much closed about the same weakness as Monday. Didn't really give me enough encouragement to go and take a buy. Very high anyway in regards to where we are. Like I've said it many times, you know, you're getting your buys here, they've got like 10 times better chance of playing out than when you're trying to get buys right up in that high. Where, yep, to be fair, that liquidity point hadn't been taken, and I think they had a good shot at that. But it wouldn't have mattered. There was no trade. It was news that took you up with the CPI yesterday. Never got a re-entry for that. So I wasn't even really looking for a play on EU at all. But we didn't have an issue. And if we did yesterday, today would have been a sell day, I think. If we had enough of a rejection to the upside, we could have actually seen us come back into that daily wick and failed. But at that point, you see yesterday's candle do that. You know, you're looking to take this off. Potentially even going to come higher. So what I'd say is now, as you've seen DXY also come down on Wednesday, we're not even coming back to this imbalance field. We're looking at another weekly fair value gap here. And now we're looking to play down even more. But I'm not going to sell this low. I'm not going to be buying this high. I know better than to do that. So for the minute, it is one of them scenarios of sitting out and waiting. And that's all right. I'll do that. But it's annoying when you're in a phase of losing. It's always easy to sit and wait on your hands when maybe you're due a payout. Maybe you're passing challenges for fun. But for me, I was very close to passing a phase 2. Had that taken away from me. And now in that account sitting in drawdown. So they are the expectations of being a funded trader or going for challenges. This stuff is going to happen sometimes and it's not going to play in your favour. And my idea and objective is to keep the capital, is to not blow the accounts. Maybe on the challenges it would be to not blow the accounts. I don't feel like funded is an option to blow the account with such a low risk on a 0.5% risk. It's more an idea of allow yourself to be close to having that opportunity to receive another payout. And that's the way I try and see it. But these accounts are nowhere near done. I know that a few good trades on these, especially ones that maybe are 3 to 5R, could be passing them again. I could be getting big payouts. So it's all positives for me. Going into the rest of this month, still got 2 weeks, maybe 1.5 weeks, so to speak. There is still plenty of opportunities. I don't trade on Fridays, as you know. But yeah, appreciate all the support in the videos, guys. It's very, very helpful. Get an idea of how you guys trade and all that. It's been enjoyable listening to some of your stories. Keep watching. A lot more to come from me. And have an absolute smashing weekend. Take care, guys. See you later.